people like to say, I'll change for you. Okay, first of all, no single person can cause another person to change. That doesn't exist anywhere. Even if people tell you that, let's say you meet somebody and then they say, it could be a friend. It could be, typically this happens in the context of romantic interest and things like that. And then they say they're going to change for you. First of all, that alone is suspect, because how are you a whole person in your everyday life, with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues at work, with your your employer and people, even people in the community, your neighbors? How are you a whole individual? You have a whole life before we ever met each other. And then all of a sudden, you're going to change. And then you're not going to change just to change. You're going to change for me. That alone is suspect. Okay? Now, that might sound cute and sweet in the moment, and that, might tickle your ears. But if you are awake and alert, you're going to see that as a red flag. Okay? No one person can cause another person to change. Okay? The psychology of transformation, the psychology of habit change is too deep and requires too much for people to go through this process, right? And it is a process. It's not like something that's going to happen overnight. So if somebody tells you that they're going to change for you, question that. Okay, you don't have to come out in their face and question it, but thank you, But don't listen. Stay away from that, because because they don't know what they're saying, first of all. They don't know what they're saying. If someone tells you they're going to change for you, it's probably a lie. Okay? It's probably a lie. They're just saying something just to tickle your ears. But at best, it's a false promise. At best. Okay? But that's not something that they own. They don't own that. They don't own that. People don't change for other people. That doesn't exist. As much as they want to claim that doesn't exist. People don't change for other people. One human being cannot change another one. Okay? Or cause another one to change. What can happen is, in life, you can have catalysts for change. You can have something that precipitates a change. Catalyst for change. A catalyst is something that basically a catalyst is something that accelerates an outcome. Okay? You can have catalysts for change, just like anything else in life. You can have a major life event, like somebody's death, that causes you to reflect and reassess your life and create change in your life, or get on a path for change in a particular direction, whether it's health, whether it's finances, whether it's anything, any area of life that you want to adjust or upgrade as a result of that single event. Okay, because that event was strong enough to pull you in a depth of thought processes. Okay, and cause you to ask yourself questions that led to a decision that you made to change. That's what happens. Same thing. So if you meet somebody, we're talking about events, but if it's not an event, it could be a person. A person can also be a catalyst for a change in somebody else's life. Usually, children do this for people, right? Having children do this for people. You can have you have this, let's say, young bachelor living it up, doing whatever, okay, going around and around, and then suddenly, you know, well, it's not so sudden, but let's just it's not that sudden, but they have a kid, okay, and then that kid having a child activates something in them, okay, that causes them to ask themselves some questions. It pulls them in a depth of thought to ask themselves questions, to reflect on their life, to reflect on where they've been, where they are, where they're going. Some of these answers, they may or may not like the answers to those questions, and as a result, they make a decision. Okay, I am changing, and these are the actions I plan to take. That's a catalyst. Again, the baby didn't cause them to change. The baby didn't say, hey, I need you to change. No. It was so strong. It had such a strong pull on the person's sort of mindset and heartstrings that it brought them to a place where they had to reflect, and then they had to make a decision. But the decision could have gone either way. Okay, and we know that, you know, from real life, people make the decision to improve. After a child, people make the decision to stay the same. After a kid, so it doesn't matter. It's a decision. It's the decision. So that means what? That means the person internally, there is something inside that wants to change anyway. So all the baby did, okay, all that does, whatever single event, major event, all that does is activate something that's already in you. Okay? It's already in you. It activates it, and it activates it, and it causes it to let's say, come to the surface. It's an opportunity. That's really all it is. Those major life events are opportunities for reflection, or opportunities for thought, for opportunities for a conversation with yourself. That's really all it is. But it's not. But that life event could also be, maybe it's not an event, it could be a person. But that single person, whether it's a baby, whether it's a it's a friendship, okay, a strong friendship, whether it's a romance or let's say a possibility for friendship anyways, or whether it's a romantic interest. Usually it happens in the context of romantic interest. You have all these young men talking about, oh, baby, I'm gonna change for you. What? That doesn't exist. You can't change for me. You literally can't. Do you want to change? That's the only way people can change. If that's what they want. And then all you're doing is activating something in them that's already there, or that was already sort of maybe dormant, and then you wake it up, and then it makes them realize, like, oh yes, I really want to make this change in my life. But it's not you. Like, you as a human being, you don't have the capacity, you don't have the power to influence another human being to transform unless they want to. Okay, that's what they want initially for themselves, or it's activating something in them. So be careful with these people, okay, when they say that to you. You don't want to end up in, some circumstances because you believe somebody that said, oh, I'm going to change. You don't know.